kilometer away if somebody was lying. So he also knew that he needed her. He couldn't trust anybody else. But she didn't have a place of feeling, okay, this is mine too. This is something that I have created from the beginning with you. She had nothing.
You've both played real people before in your careers. I'm curious if I'm sure it changes your approach when you know you're playing someone who lived and breathed, and sometimes it's nice to have things to draw on. Do you have a preference? Like, do you like creating a character from scratch? Do you like having something to draw on, or does it change from role to role?
I mean, it always, for me, it's so, is it just me or the microphone going like louder and quieter? Yeah, it does change role to role, and even when you're playing a real character, for me, it's always been important to honor that person and honor the family by being respectful of what their story was and how this impacted their lives, more so from a place of Shailene than a place of as an actor, because ultimately, if you're trying to recreate something and it's not authentic and it's not coming through an authentic source within you, then to me, it never feels real or honest when I'm watching it. So it is sort of a fine line of wanting to honor the family and at some point going, okay, I have to put all of those opinions and that noise aside, because if I listen too much to that, then I'm not gonna actually, but it does change role to role, because if you're playing a musician or you're making a biopic, like that's very different, because the movements, even like the way people move their face, and there's small little quirks that will change a performance much more than trying to do that for someone like Lena Lardy. So it does change, but I think authenticity is key, and so making sure you can be authentic in whatever shoes you're walking in as a character will ultimately create the best performance and create the most respect to the person.
And you have VCs with this wonderful young actor who plays the actor. I believe his name is Giuseppe.
Yeah,
Giuseppe. I mean, kids keep you honest on a set.
They do. They do. Kids and their parents. He was great. He was an interesting kid, actually. I've worked with a lot of child actors, and I was a child actor. I started acting when I was 5, so I've been around kind of the child thing for a long time. And he would show up to set sometimes very excited to be there, and then other days would show up and I was like, do you even want to be here? Do you want to be an actor? Is this interesting to you, or do you want to just play? And I think that there was, first, English wasn't his first language, so I imagine that there was a lot of fear wrapped up in that. And I think he had this idea of working with Michael and working with Adam, and so there was, luckily our camera operator was Italian, and so he was able to kind of play with him and speak with him in Italian and help him feel more comfortable. But once he found his zone, the beautiful thing about kids is you never know in the middle of the scene if they're gonna start picking their nose, or if they're just gonna get up and leave to go get a snack and like the camera's rolling. And he was very free in that way, and so that created a nice energy on Michael Mann's set.
And for you, do you have a preference in your approach? You've obviously played some people who are very recognizable, like Donatella Versace, and I don't know that Laura is probably, nobody's probably that well known.
Yeah, exactly. I felt there was a big difference when you play somebody that everyone in the world would recognize, and everyone knows how she walks, how she talks, and is so particular in behavior and personality. And that was the case of somebody like Donatella. The other characters that I've played that were real, like Virginia Vallejo, was known in a lot of places, but not like Donatella, worldwide. And Laura, very little known about her. So for me, it only really changes when it's someone that is so well known. And here I could decide, okay, what is the essence of this woman will tell me how she walks, how she talks, how she moves. With Donatella, all of that is decided. So you just have to completely obsessed with her and watch thousands of hours of material because it's there. But in other cases, it's more through your imagination.
You mentioned that Pietro got very emotional talking to you. Do you know if he was able to see the movie? I don't know if I'd be able to be honest.
Yeah, to my knowledge, he's seen it many times, over 6 or 7 times.
He loved it.
Yeah, he loved it. And this was, I mean, Michael was trying to make this movie for 25 years, is that right? A little over 25 years, and Piero said no for the longest time and was not interested. And Michael finally was able to convince him over 2 decades later, which I think is a really beautiful thing. So when he watches the movie, it's not just like, you know,
Yeah.
2 or 3 years, it's his almost 30 years of his life being nagged to make this movie,
Yeah.
and now it's finally been made. And I also saw him at the premiere when we were in London and asked him what he thought, and he got choked up again. So
Aw.
that was very special
That's
feeling.
amazing. What a great review.